Hello everyone and welcome back to the MAD campaign for the Apache in DCS World, and welcome to Mission 5, Preventative Blow Part 2. Now this is a mission I had quite a lot of trouble with for reasons we'll get into later, but the premise of it is fairly straightforward. A major training base of the insurgents that we've been hunting in the Oman territories have been located, and so we are going in to clean up the site. The US Navy will be doing an initial strike on the site. We are then following up with Special Forces. Our role, as always, is to cover the Special Forces, do as much damage as possible. So let's jump in and see how it all goes.
Place your bets, gentlemen. The Tomahawks or the Hornets? My bet is on the Hornets.
Gambling is haram, Riley. Avoid it and you will prosper.
I believe there will be cruise missiles. We should have received more instructions for the... Alright, 3-2. I like your thinking, but you don't know the Americans. The Americans pretty much always rely on themselves, especially now, given the Russians took out their SF guys.
I'll make a note of it. Thank you, 3-1.
Knight, Saber Group. I have the route data and will be at Bravo on time.
Saber 3-1, this is Knight. Contact at Bravo. Proceed as planned. Observe ROE.
3-1, Roger, Charlie Mike. Knight, Saber 3-1, at Bravo, ready for tasking.
Attention, Saber. Hold position. Do not approach Alpha.
Saber, I confirm. On station at Bravo, Angels 5.
Here I'm just holding position while getting a view on the target site at Alpha, just through this gorge.
3-1, this is 2-1. Requesting communication with the commander of the Special Forces.
Go ahead.
3-1, this is F-10. We will move from Bravo to Alpha along the road. Do not proceed to the target until you arrive over.
Copy, just hold down.
Do not forget about us. I'll be at FM 32.5.
Missile, forward right.
Cast confirmed, Death Center.
Missile, forward right.
This is Saber 3-2. We can see KS-19 at Alpha. Be careful, guys. There's a road convoy on the runway. Most likely they will start moving to Bravo.
Forward
2-1,
right.
tell Afsenach to be ready to meet them.
2-1, information sent.
Missile, forward
On
right.
speed.
She exposes 3-1. Look like he's on Alpha.
So I've been meaning to do a mission from mostly the CPG seat, so decide that's what I'm going to do right here. Jump onto the CPG seat, start looking around. I did have to manually pilot it here because George does not like flying at this altitude that we need to get over these areas of Oman, but now he's quite happy to sit in a stable hover while I look around.
Saber 3-1, proceed with mission.
3-1, Roger. Okay, chaps, let's get to work. 2-1, proceed with Afsena's troop landing.
2-1, Roger, proceeding.
3-2, proceed with the road convoy moving to Bravo. Oh, and check out those anti-aircraft guns you saw before that huge explosion.
3-2, proceeding.
So here is really where I had the most issues. So we get told to remove these anti-aircraft guns, and it is really important later that these are no longer alive. They're fine right now, but they do become a problem later on. The problem is the mission loads you with radar missiles to begin with, the radar Hellfires. The problem there is that both of the anti-aircraft guns we're tasked to take out are absolutely surrounded by other larger objects which give much clearer radar returns. So whether I was doing this in the CPG seat or whether I was doing this by telling George to engage, happily lasing the correct target, making sure all the ranging information is correct, the missiles would always divert and engage other things, end up wasting loads of missiles hitting random outpost bases, towers and what have you, before they would ever get to hit these actual targets. And I've tried this multiple times, really didn't have any luck. In the end, I decided just to cheat a little bit. On the loadout, I used the ground crew to load myself up with laser Hellfires. Now, normally I really wouldn't like doing this, but weirdly in the original documentation that comes with the game, it states that you're supposed to have laser Hellfires here, and I think this may have been made before radar Hellfires were implemented, but then they seem to have retroactively added the radar Hellfires, and I'm not convinced they tested them fully for this mission, so I'm quite happy with my change here, flipping these over. Radar Hellfires would be great for engaging the convoy in a moment, so you can rifle off several missiles in one. But here, for pinpoint targeting of an individual unit, you really want the lasers. Now, you can probably notice that I do mess up. I try and go for a lock-on after launch attack here with a high launch, but missiles don't seem to hit the targets. We will come back to these later. For now, I definitely made a mistake there. I should have just gone for direct launch. I've got the altitude that direct can just take the altitude and hit these things. Either way, for now I've got a bit more of a pressing concern, is that the convoy is approaching. This is a large convoy and the special forces have been dropped pretty much below my helicopter at this point. And as you can see here, we've got some tanks moving along, so definitely want to weaken this convoy as much as possible. So just leave the AAA for now. I'm out of range of it, so nice and safe. So just lock up one of these and fire off a missile. Now, the problem with the laser missiles here is you do have to maintain the lasing solution. The nice thing about the radar missiles is once they're launched, they'll do the actual seeking on their own, which can be really useful. But here, I'm just having to live with this. Honestly, the best loadout for this would probably have been a couple of laser missiles to deal with the AAA, and the rest are radar. The nice thing is, even with using laser Hellfires here, because the Apache now has its image auto track feature, it is actually quite simple to hit these moving targets. A lot easier than it used to be having to use the linear compensator function. This makes it very easy, and so I start shacking the major targets here quite quickly. Now, I do want to save some of my Hellfire since I've still got that AAA to deal with, but I'm just taking out the larger targets here, the ones that are really a threat to the special forces, and so just keep lasing and taking these out for now. Now, although having a full 16 set of Hellfires would have been great, this mission does give you the 6-pounder rockets, and it is fine. I'm absolutely fine with that being a little bit of a challenge. First time I've used these from the CPG seat, but it's not actually too bad. Laze them as normal to get the ranging, and then as long as you're in combat mode with George, you can just tell him to align to the target line of sight. And he is a lot better at doing that than I am, so I can get nice little locks here. These are moving targets, which is not going to be great, but my idea here is just if I start firing at the lead vehicle in the convoy, then the rockets will scatter and randomly hit things in the back. So I just fire off a whole load of rockets here, just in the hope that some are going to hit something.
This is 3-1. The convoy is trying to escape, but we're on them.
Excellent, 3-1. Here's a new mission for you. Cover Rakim's formation. Coordinates are in your data.
I won't leave my wingman.
3-1. An F-18 element is arriving on Alpha. Time on target 45 minutes. We will provide cover for your group.
3-1, roger. Proceeding. 3-2, you remain here, please. Knight needs me to cover the Oman convoy.
I heard it, 3-1. Don't worry.
Don't forget about F-Senna. He took up defense at Bravo.
Good luck, 3-1.
Now here I decide to go over to the gun, firing off a few rounds. I am really quite far range here, so there is a significant weapon spread. Moreover, there is a significant delay between firing and the rounds hitting home that I'm having to try and adjust for. Really, I'm engaging too much out of range here. And also, rather awkwardly, I am really high here, so that is adding to my difficulties. Does mean that I'm nice and safe, but does mean that trying to hit these things is really not happening at this point. After a while, the vehicles do pull a little bit closer, and so I can start getting a little more accurate shots here. I've wasted quite a lot of ammunition, but keeping my burst nice and short to make sure I minimise, and do start getting some kills here with the gun. At this point, the convoy does get engaged by the special forces, and so I start being a little bit more aggressive with my trigger pulls. But with most of the APCs taken out and the 2 tanks taken out, the special forces do a really good job here. There isn't too much to threaten them, and certainly they can make short work of the vehicles here. I'm still trying to contribute, trying especially to take out any IFVs that I see.
The convoy is destroyed.
So oddly there it says the convoy is destroyed when it clearly isn't, so I do continue to engage for now, but quickly do get diverted to a new task.
Commander, we've got a big target here. Elaborate. MI8 is starting up on the runway. Scratch that. It's taking off. Got it. Let's try to force him to land at Bravo.
So this is the part you really need the AAA to be taken care of, ideally already, but I got a little bit sidetracked there. So here I lock onto the target as best I can. I've got 2 more laser Hellfires. This time I go for a direct trajectory attack, and that turns out to work a lot better. I do have a little bit of a time constraint here because that helicopter does very quickly disappear off, and on my previous attempt it just went missing. So do have to take these out quickly so I can get in pursuit quickly.
Direct hit.
And nicely enough, with direct trajectory, the missile just hits no problem, so I should have done that to begin with. Live and learn, I'm getting used to the CPG seat. There is still another one, and these are really wide diameter guns, so they really do hurt if they do manage to hit you, so I want them gone before we get close. So turn around, locate the second, and engage it. And then it really isn't long before that missile hits home, and that means that this task is finished. Really could have done this at the start, I just needed to use the correct setting on the Hellfires. But for now it's time to go full speed and try and pursue this MI8.
Rotor RPM low. Rotor RPM low.
Now for this I'm definitely not going to be messing around with George AI while trying to get him to chase a helicopter, so I just go back to the pilot seat for this one. After a little bit looking, I do spot where the helicopter is. It's still within visual range. Just to help me keep track of it, I do ask George to get it locked up and then just head towards it as best I can.
Rotor RPM low.
The ACV is destroyed. By the way, this is a Russian BTR-82A, a new model.
Rotor RPM low.
Catch up to it. Stick clips right. The door gunner is on the left.
Rotor RPM low. Rotor RPM low.
Switching to emergency VHF.
So here we just quickly change to the emergency channel to be able to contact this thing. Trying to do that while flying is a little bit awkward. Would be great if George could do that, but I don't think there's a way to tell George to do that.
MI8, this is combat helicopter of the United Arab Emirates. You are in the area of a counter-terrorism operation. I order you to follow me and land where I indicate. No response, Commander. I suggest a warning shot from our gun along the flight course.
So as instructed, just give a couple of bursts near him, try not to hit him while I do.
MI8, this is a combat helicopter of the United Arab Emirates. I repeat for the last time. Follow me and land at the designated place. If you fail to comply, you will be fired upon. He made his choice. My gun, opening fire.
So if you didn't hear that then, he gives me a big FU and then tells his door gunner to engage, so I start engaging him and we just start doing a little bit of an awkward dogfight here. I wasn't quite in the best position to immediately engage there. I was hoping that he would turn around, but no such luck. And so just a case of trying to get guns around, try and get a good position, and then fire at him. I do make a mistake during this fight that I am over-leading the target a lot. I'm kind of forgetting how close I am to him and how slow he's moving. Really don't need to give this much lead at all. Now, I do end up in a pretty bad position there. I was nosing up to get the gun on, and that bled off a lot of my speed and bled off a lot of my height, and so this guy ends up getting away a little bit. Does take me just a little bit to reposition, try and get up, try and get above him, since the gun on this is on the bottom of the helicopter, and so it can only shoot up a very, very small amount. It's meant for engaging ground targets, not other helicopters. But do get into a better position here and start engaging again. Start dragging my view across the helicopter while firing to spray across him, and as I do, start getting some nice hits, and then eventually, bang, down he goes.
MI8 is destroyed, Commander. Returning to Alpha.
So nothing left to do but to head back to our station and wait for it to release us from our active duty.
3-1, 3-2 at Alpha. I destroyed an enemy MI8. Do you copy?
Where did you even find an intact helicopter? Be aware, there's an element of Hornets en route and it'll arrive in a few minutes. You should remain at Alpha at Angels 5.
3-2, roger. Taking position at Alpha at Angels 5.
Hi, this is Strike 1-1. We're at Alpha. What is the picture? Picture is clean. Strike 1-1 on standby. 7-3-1, your work is done. Working group will proceed together with us. You're clear to RTB.
formation of Bravo, Angels 5. We are homeward bound.
Three two, taking up the position on the right. 3-2, hold position on the right.
3-2, roger, I see it. What helicopter did you destroy, 3-2?
It was an Mi-8. Told us to go to hell and ordered the shooters to fire.
That was a true baptism by fire. You chaps are the best crew in the squadron. Captain Al-Mansuri, you should prepare to assume command of your element.
Oh, thank you, Riley. A promotion. This is good news.
Stella, I hate to admit it, but you are the best CPG in our division. I'm sure you'll pass the flight deck qualification with flying colors.
Oh, stop it with the big words. You'll make me cry.
Bollocks.
So yeah, just a case of returning to base without any issues, not that long a flight back, and just do another runway landing. The AI seems to go straight for the landing pad, but the landing instructions are to do a runway landing, so I'll be a good pilot and do a runway landing. But yeah, that mission was pretty good in the end, was quite challenging. As I said, I did have quite a bit of difficulty with it. Most of that is to do with this radar armament that they just really, really don't like tracking the small AAA when there is so many other buildings and vehicles around them. The things just get confused. May well be able to do that a bit better, but neither myself nor George were managing to get those correct. Other thing that's a bit awkward is if you don't get on that helicopter really fast, it does disappear, and then the mission does soft lock. The helicopter just continues on that course and is very, very hard to locate if you don't follow him the whole way, which means if the AAA is not destroyed and you can't do a direct pursuit, you have to go around the rest of the mountain. It's very easy to lose track of him. Still, fun mission, good engaging everything, good having a big convoy to just shoot at, and it was fun jumping into the CPG seat. For missions like this where I can afford to, I am planning on jumping into the CPG seat where possible. Obviously on missions where I have to do a lot of manoeuvring, though, I will be sticking with the pilot seat. Still really, really fun. Hope you are all enjoying and hope to catch you in a future video. Until then, remember to be kind to yourselves and everyone else. Cheers.